So welcome to our lesson on proportions, and we're specifically going to work with unit conversions for this first chapter. So what I'll do is go through what is a proportion. It is two ratios that are equal to each other. So 1/2 is the same as 4/8. It's equivalent. Okay. One way to check to see if two ratios are in fact equal is we could check the cross products. So that means we're going to multiply diagonally 4 times 15. Okay, so I'm trying to explain that right there. Multiply diagonally 6 times 10. Those are the cross products. Since it worked, since it's equal, the answer is yes. That was a proportion because the ratios were equal. Okay. So now what we'll do is we're going to solve proportions using cross multiply. Okay, so right here we're looking at 15/6 is equal to 20 over some amount. So we're saying they're equal, and what we're going to do is find the value of x that will make those ratios equal. So we'll go 15 times x should equal 6 times 20. You're going to multiply the quantities that are diagonal from each other. And that's cross multiply. Okay, so you saw the steps there for the algebra. Try another problem. So right there, instead of highlighting, I'm showing you have to multiply the quantities that are diagonal from each other in this proportion, 9 times 8, and then it'll be x times 4. Now, something that's often gets missed is that it's still equal. Okay, so it's 9 times 8 equal to x times 4. And then simply solve. Okay, so many of you might have learned something called scaling up. That does work. We can do that. The only reason we teach it in this course is it's going to be for what is ahead in the future. There's going to be more complex problems. So what I did was I created one right here. So this is all algebra almost, essentially all algebra. You're not going to be able to scale up. You can't multiply by something to turn 6 into x plus 6. There's no factors here. So scaling up just won't work in a case like this. Okay. So that's what we're going to move towards, and that's why we teach cross multiply in this course. So, all right, now we're going to do this specifically for unit conversion. So we're going to show you cross multiply. We're going to show you how to convert units using it. Now, I know that some of you have learned a different way in science. They do something called dimensional analysis. There's also a way to just know whether to multiply or divide. We are going to show you proportions because it is something that we do in this course. This is just one way to do this, and that's just the way that we're going to teach it. So what I'm doing first is if I want to convert a number of feet to the number of yards, I would bet most of us could do this in our head. We're starting with an easy example. There's 3 feet for every yard. So that's what we would want for our unit conversion, the equivalent right there. Now it's pretty obvious. 6 feet is just going to simply be 2 yards. Okay. Now I'm going through the example just to show you how it could work for more complex problems. What I typically do is write down the conversion, the equivalent conversion, given through whether I know it or whether it's through the reference table. And then what I do is I create a key. That is for consistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide to put feet on the top part of my proportion in both fractions, and then I'm going to put yards under. So you're going to see that right now. So I'm putting the feet quantity, 6 feet. I don't know yet how many yards that is, so I'm going to call it x. Now on the other side, okay, what I'm going to have is my 3 feet is the same as 1 yard right there. Okay, so 3 feet is equivalent to 1 yard. 6 feet is equivalent to, I don't know how many yards, so we're going to call it X. Now, I put the units in. You don't have to. There's going to be some teachers that don't want you to. I do it just to keep it organized and remind myself where I'm at. But at this point, I'll probably say to ignore the units of measure. Okay. Now, science doesn't want you to do that. Okay. That's why they use something called dimensional analysis. We're going to do it just slightly different in geometry. So it ends up being 2 yards. Put your answer up top and box it in. Okay. We're going 6 feet to some number of inches. Again, probably very easy for everybody. You know that it's going to be, probably most of you can do it in your head, it's 72 inches, okay? In this case, you're just going to multiply by 12. Why can't we just do that? You probably can in most cases. But again, I'm teaching you to prep you for some more complex problems. So there's my key. I'm just going to determine myself that I'm going feet on top, inches on the bottom. You could have flipped it. Won't make any difference, okay? So this time I said, okay, so 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. All right, that's going to be my first fraction this time. All right, really doesn't matter. Then since I put feet on top, all right, I'm going to take my 6 feet and put that on top. I don't know how many inches, so X inches. Okay, cross multiply. And yes, in fact, you could have just multiplied by 12. Okay. I think I'm doing 1 or 2 more here. So 6 feet, we're going to go to the nearest tenth. We're going to convert that to centimeters. Now, there's 2 conversions necessary as far as our reference sheet goes. So our reference sheet doesn't give us a direct link between feet and centimeters. It does give us a link between inches and centimeters. So first, I'll go feet to inches, and then inches to centimeters. Now, we know from the previous example that it's going to be 72 inches. Okay, so I'll just go through that process quick. We already knew that it was going to be 72, but now we're going to go and work a second proportion. So, and I just decided that I was going to go centimeters on top and inches on the bottom for my second proportion. Okay, so I've got 2.54 centimeters to 1 inch. And remember now we have 72 inches. Well, I got to put that on the bottom because inches are on the bottom, according to my key. Cross multiply. Again, you see that I lose the dimensions. It's 182.88. Since I said nearest tenth, you notice that I rounded. Okay, now we're going to go meters. Again, there's no direct connection feet to meters in our reference sheet. Okay, I looked. There is inches in meters. There is a direct connection. It's 1 meter is 39.37 inches. So they give us that. We don't have to memorize that. This time I just skipped right ahead and said, you know what? We know that 6 feet is 72 inches. So let's pretend we did all that work. Now we're going to go right. We're going to convert meters over to inches by, what did I do? Meters on top. Okay, so meters is going to go on the top part, inches on the bottom. Okay. All right, so first fraction, I decided to use my conversion, 1 meter over 39.37 inches. Again, 72 inches on the bottom, cross multiply, and a little more than, not quite 2, 1.83. Decided to go nearest hundredth, and there it is. Okay, so that is our lesson, our video lesson on using proportions first and using them to convert units of measure. Okay, it's really up to your teacher if you decide how you're going to communicate if you do not use proportions. What I'm going to tell my students is, if you know you were just supposed to multiply by 12, at least write that down. Okay, don't just give me an answer without any communication. All right, hope this was helpful and have a great day.